everyone. Greg here with the Con-Versation, and happy Wednesday afternoon. It is Wednesday. I know our shows have been going different days each week. So, but we're getting a lot more in these next couple of months because it is holiday season. We want to get some of these authors promoted and artists so you can see what they have and what kind of specials they might have. And of course, don't forget Amy's 12 Days of Page Turners, which is December 1st through 12th, where she's featuring authors as well. And today on the conversation, we have DC Gomez, who is a USA Today bestseller. So, hi, DC.
Hi, darling. How are you today?
Pretty good. I saw you on Saturday at
hmm
NerdCon. So, let's talk a little bit about your books, the genre. And
So I write in multiple genres. So I'm a little bit of the little ADD kid that most authors and writers go, oh my God, girl, pick a one. So I do everything. Yeah. I do everything from urban fantasies to even devotionals. So I have children's book, I have women contemporary, I have fiction, young adults. So I do a little bit of whatever the inspiration hits. I think that's the best bet. So I tend to write a lot of the things that I love to read. So my books tend to be fairly eclectic.
sweet. Now, you mentioned one of my favorite words there, inspiration. What inspired you to start writing?
One of the things that I kind of try to tell people is my background's primarily in film and television. I have been a storyteller all my life. So about 5 years ago, I did that transition. I found myself in a place in my life that I was not being creative. I was at that place where honestly I was sick and miserable of everything because I wasn't tapping into that. So by the chance of a beautiful spiritual director that motivated me to say, okay, you should do something creatively. Start writing a book. Did not think I was going to fall so much in love with the medium of writing as I did, which is not be a surprise. Like I was writing script for most of my adult life, so this should not be very difficult to think, but it's such a different process. I think I will have a hard time writing a script now compared to all the books. I was like, I will have a hard time switching gears again. But it is that let's get into a whole creative being and be able to just create these worlds that are absolutely magical.
Now, that was one thing we've discussed on other different shows. Scripts and books are completely different, and it
Yes.
is a lot harder to write one from the other or to go from one to the other. I think, like I was talking to somebody, it would be almost completely impossible for me to write a script. I could write a novel, and they're like, well, I can write the script, but there's no way I could write a novel. So, how was that transition for you?
I kind of had the blessing that I had a break in between a lot of my writing. So when I picked it up, I actually had to start from scratch. Like I literally had to do a lot of research. What makes a novel? I thought page count because that's usually what a script is. We think in terms of pages. You think of 120 pages is a full length movie. You're thinking of all these different things that come into it. And it's a lot more of directional than the storytelling as people know it. So when I had to go back, it is a lot of people, a lot of my readers have to understand that because of that background, I'm not going to give you, the wheel of time kind of explanation of this beautiful tree in 500 pages. We're going to be like, there's a tree, fill in the blank, and we're moving on to something very quickly. So the transitioning to going a much more novel writing took a time. And I have to remember, like everything is not in everybody's head. I have to kind of give you a lot more of those details that normally in a script doesn't have because you have everything else encompassing. So that was kind of this understanding. And also the fact that it's very visual. Like my books would give you that sense of like I'm watching a movie. And that's just the nature of my background.
And with that being said, we discussed at the beginning that you are also a USA Today bestseller. Now, I know when I won my award, it was like, you're like, okay, you can't say anything. So that was hard in itself. But, but what was that like for you? And it's that inspiring moment for you, I guess would be way to say it.
I can possibly admit that it was kind of those surreal moments in your life. It's the USA Today was 19 when we did it. And I literally it was probably a year and a half, 2 years when I signed up. I just started publishing, met a group of authors that was amazing and got an amazing coach to kind of get us through that. So I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. I didn't realize I was going to work harder in this group than I had my whole life. And it was going to be so much more dedication. I was like, I was not prepared for that. But when it happened, because you have a week to sell all these books, and you gotta wait till Wednesday to figure out if you made it or not. So when Wednesday the call came, because my editor was like, "Hey, by the way," and I was like, "What?" I got busy, like I had other things going on, and I felt like such a little kid because I got it, and I was like, and it was that completely frozen. I'm like, "Wait, what? Say that again?" And then I
Mhm.
couldn't figure out what to do. Like I couldn't figure out if I wanted to scream, if I wanted to run, if I wanted. I did not know. So it was that moment. It was just like, "Oh my God, that actually happened." All
Mhm.
this hard work, all this dedication really click. And it was absolutely wow. Hard work really pays off and a lot of hard work.
Now, you had also talked about working with other authors. Now, do you do that in a critique group or?
I am much more of a beta reader. So I have really good beta readers. I do lots of brainstorming prior to writing. So I don't do critique partners very well. I have really good close editors that we do a lot of bouncing back and forth. But the working of it, I do a lot of brainstorming. So my usual working with other authors is a lot of brainstorming, whether we're doing events, whether we're doing podcasting. So I get to have that experience from a whole different medium than most people do.
Now, let's talk about events because you were just down in the Houston area
Hmm.
at NerdCon. So, what are the events like for you? I mean, how often do you do them?
I have an extremely packed schedule, and like I'm looking, oh my God, I'm blocking next year out, and I was like, girl, you are going to die because we're going from, I can say this, I'm going from Florida to Salem, Massachusetts. We're going to the West Coast to California, and we're going to Tennessee. So it's a little bit of everything. And here, I'm highly surprised how much I enjoy events. Like I'm an introvert to the core. I have no issues admitting this. I enjoy my quiet space. I'm a typical author. I don't mind sitting on my couch and writing. But I can say this. But going into an event really changed the way that I saw my business and really changed the way that I got to interact with readers. It is such a humbling experience to meet somebody who either has read your book, wants to read your book, and the look on that person's face was like, oh my God, you wrote this. And there's so
Mhm.
much excitement. There is so much beauty in it that is just very, very humbling. So next year, I'm very committed. I'm switching my writing schedule so I can have enough time to not die and be able to make it to all these events and still be able to be a writer. Because somehow I'm writing, I'm podcasting, I'm doing Amazon Lives, and I'm like, and I'm going to events. So, yes, so it's going to be a fun year. So this is what I'm telling myself.
I wouldn't know the feeling, not at all.
Never, never.
I think I got a hectic schedule come next summer if everything pans out.
Hmm.
So it would be going from basically West Texas up north down to Louisiana back to
See, you
so
understand completely. Yes, it's
mhm.
going to be,
And then of course the podcast and
it's nonstop, nonstop.
yes. Now you have a podcast where you feature writers also,
Hmm.
and you actually I don't know if you do the inspirational one anymore on Sunday. Was it Sunday mornings?
I was doing it Saturday mornings because so I
Saturday
switched
mornings.
gears and ended up doing an Amazon Live. So my podcast specifically, a conversation with authors, that's inside the minds of authors, and we start out with the book reading. So one of the things that I found out when I started writing and talking to people is we all have conversations about these books, but nobody has a clue what your book's about. So let's have a common ground. Read me a piece. We'll discuss the piece, and then people can get a taste of what this book feels like, get a taste of the author, and kind of going from there. The Amazon Live is specifically focused on new books. So we're able to do whatever the new books are now within the last 90 days, and then we talk backlist. So I get to indulge all my favorite things, which is books and authors, and be able to talk about it nonstop in front of everybody else.
That's going to be exciting,
That's so much fun.
especially I guess Amazon Live. That's going to be
It's a whole different medium because Amazon now is becoming the new QVC. So not only you're talking about the books, they can buy the books. So it is super exciting to be able to kind of like have a carousel of books that people can pick. You can answer questions in there if somebody joins you in the chat and be able to just have these really conversations. So I have one tonight at 6:30, and then I have one on Friday mornings. Friday mornings is literally 8 o'clock Central Time. I had a young lady join me at 6 o'clock in the morning. She's in Pacific Coast. I'm like, why are you up? She's like, this is great. And my next question is like, why are you on Amazon at this hour? But you'd be surprised all the people that just kind of think about it. You just kind of scroll through Amazon, and if you happen to hit the live feed, you can get everything from shopping to really cool shows that people are putting together. So it's really fun.
Now, I won't ask that because Amazon Live, I guess, did they reach out to you or did you reach out to them? I guess that's the
I
best way to.
I ended up applying. So they have a whole application process. So I ended up applying, and I tell everybody I press buttons, and there was this button because I was really curious. I'm like, I'm addicted to Amazon. No issues in that part. So I was like, hey, what is that? Press the button, press the button. And then they said yes. And I was like, oh God, wait, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. What am I doing this? So I am learning now that don't press buttons unless you're really ready, because this might happen. And then what are you going to do? So yeah, this is what's
I'm,
happening with my Etsy account. Like I'm working on my Etsy account. I was like, I should have waited on pressing the buttons. Now I press the buttons.
I'm laughing because there's a few buttons that I've pressed and it's like, oh, these people are going to get back with me and I have no idea what I'm going to do. I think one is for Roku streaming.
Yes, there's always these buttons. And you're like, oh, that would be great. And you press the buttons. Yeah.
And you're like,
And then you're going,
uh-oh.
ooh. I say it all the time. It's like, oops, I wasn't ready. Like, I really wasn't ready. And now what are we going to do? That's my life. My girls is like, we're going to get you a t-shirt that says, I press buttons. I'm like, this is my life. I press buttons.
I'm laughing because we had DC Glenn on the show from the Geico commercial where he sings Womp, there it is. And I was just sitting there thinking he should write a song about us. Womp, I wasn't ready.
This is, we press buttons. Like, yeah, I was not prepared for all of that. But here we are. Here we are. We're pressing buttons, so we're moving forward.
Now, do you have any book signings coming up soon where people can go to you, or is it going to be?
Yes. I have one more for the end of the season. So I am going to be doing, it's going to be in Canton. We're going to East Texas Book Bash. So it's in Canton. It is going to be, and as I look at my calendar, second Saturday of the month. So the 10th, whatever
The
the
10th.
Saturday. So the
The
second
10th.
Saturday. And it's from 10 to 4. It is a beautiful event. And she tends to rotate locations for the East Texas Book Bash. So I'm looking forward to being in Canton. I'm staying at the cottage. We have a meet and greet. So it should be really fun. So anybody in the area, great event.
Definitely. And where can people find you at?
Easiest way to find me is on my website. It's dcgomez-author, just like it has in my title.com. Super, super easy, probably because I'm not that creative. So and it makes my life so much easier. So yeah, it is also my handle on Amazon. I realized I was like, yeah, I can't have these complications in my life. So you can find me on my website. I will give you a link to my Amazon Live. You can get a link to the podcast. Actually, you can listen to the podcast directly on the website as well. So yes.
Let's see if I got that right.
Oh, you forgot the dash. There's a dash between the
Oh,
Z
there
and the
is a
A.
dash.
Yes,
Okay.
I do
That
have a
way
dash.
we don't want people to miss that.
It was super fun. Yes.
There we go. Of course, it takes it a minute.
It is. Ta-da!
But I do want to thank you for being on our show. And we look forward to talking to you again. I'm sure I'm going to see you at a convention before long
Oh, yeah.
because we're all over the place. So I'm sure we'll.
We're going to be there somewhere. I can guarantee you.
Yes.
So, sweetie, it's
Whether,
always a pleasure. Thank you for
yes.
having me. And please stay well.
I will definitely stay well. I don't know for how long, but I'm going to stay well as long as I can keep going.
Stay well. Let's do this.
All right. Well, again, thank you for being on, and everybody go check out our books at dcgomez-author.com. And until our next show, which I believe is tomorrow at 6 p.m. with PowerFest on the Con Hour, adios.